All right, we will begin now. So I'm Mahisa Ray. I'll be your presenter today. For new attendees, I'm Client Advantage Manager at Opendoor. That means I manage deployments and I'm also responsible for the help desk team. So you might talk to me once in a while on either support tickets or we might work on projects together. I do owe you a newer picture because I have loads more hair. So I'll try to do that next time because I know we have repeat attendees and I do not look like this anymore. As usual, so the release includes ideas that were submitted either by partners or by users like you. Microsoft does listen for real. So if you do have ideas to improve Business Central, you can go to experience.dynamics.com/ideas, that little link on the page here. You log in with your Microsoft 365 credentials. You look to see if your idea already exists. If it does, you can give it a thumbs up, upvote it. Or if it doesn't, you can submit a new idea and then share it with us and share it with your colleagues and other contacts so that they can go log in and vote for it. Votes are a big part of what makes or breaks in idea. So will it make it to the roadmap or not? Comments and also the frequency of people participating or commenting on the idea will also help. We will move to Business Central to look at improvements that will be available in version 25. That version should be available to schedule in the next 2 weeks is the expectation. There might be a little delay because some people are still working on updating to the latest version, which currently is 24.5. But this new version that we're seeing now should be there very soon. The first improvements you'll notice are user interface changes. So if I click on settings here, you will notice that I have more choices than usual or than what you might currently have. So I have personalized, I have my settings, those are not new, but you can also see feature management, a shortcut to company information. You also have advanced settings and page scripting that is a feature in preview. Page scripting is very useful to be able to script clicks and test the application in the future. So it is a new, again, feature that is in preview that you should try out. It's useful if you're making changes in the application or deploying new modules, or if you're working on a brand new project, it can also be very useful. Feature management is also something that was already available through the search button, but some people don't know about it. So some features are available in preview mode, as you know, and you can enable them to try them out. We obviously recommend you don't do that in a production environment first. You want to do that in a sandbox and give a try to features that will be released later. The list will tell you when it will be automatically enabled. When we manage updates, we make sure that we roll these out before the deadline date so that you can see the changes in your sandboxes and deploy them smoothly in your production environments. We suggest you do the same. So this is now more easily accessible from this menu here. A crowd favorite, we have changes to reporting, loads of changes to reporting actually in this version. So this bit will be released in November. It is not available yet. It is available in preview and demo environments. It's currently loading, as you see. There are more embedded, readily available Power BI reports. You also see that you can have more than one Power BI pane on your screen at the same time. So you can create sections, for example, sales related or finance related on your home pages. So In BC, there are many options for reporting, and this release has more for finance, sales, purchasing, inventory, manufacturing, and projects. It's a total of 63 new Power BI reports that will be available in the app. And they're divided pretty equally across areas in the system. If you're an advanced user of Power Query, you can now fine-tune the use of Power BI with Business Central, so the semantic models that you use, so that you can do more mappings, introduce new parameters, so that it's more flexible and you get a better performance from those Power Queries. That's another change coming with this release. Now, Power BI is nice, but accountants want financial reports. There are changes to the financial reports. You get more out-of-the-box templates that are readily available with the solution. So while these are fully configurable from scratch, it's useful to have readily available models that you can update and use with your data. So you can use these new reports as ready to use because they're based on GL account categories and subcategories that already exist in BC. Or you can make updates to use your specific accounts or custom categories that you might configure and create. So there are 5 new reports and 12 new column definitions that are included. And also, if you want to test these, or if you're deploying and don't have data to properly design and test those reports, there is a new tool that you can search for it. It is called Contoso Demo Tool. And you can use that in a Kronos company. Don't do that in your live company. In a Kronos company to load test data so that you can give these reports a try. It will load 3 years of GL entries with dimensions attached with proper categories. So it only works with Kronos for that reason too. And then you can go and design reports that will work for you and use them. So you get a lot more in terms of financial reports here. Moving on from there, but still on the data side, I'm going to go to my item list. So Copilot is available without prior setup, and it can now do more for you. It's peppered all over Business Central areas. If there are admins on this call or watching the recording, data movement is still required for Canada, and you should look at the documentation and your settings to make the right choice for your organization. Okay, but with the enhancements that are available with the new version, you'll be able to use the analyze mode with Copilot to generate ad hoc analysis. You can save those and reuse those later. That means, less exporting, formatting, pivoting, or otherwise working in Excel outside of Business Central. So here, instead of going to Excel, as one typically does, what I can do is go to the Copilot icon and click on Analyze List. It will ask me what I want. Note that this is still in preview. They're updating the language and the instructions it can take, but I can tell it group items by, I'm going to go with type and category and see what that does. It would not be great for the recording if it did not work, though I did try it before. So it is reviewing the data. I have 201 inventory items. I have 3 service items. I'm using a specific example here. So I have my types and I have my categories with my item lists there. You'll notice that I have a tab here and I can save things, I can duplicate them, so I can create various tables that I can use to have quick visual reports. And then I also have fields that are available that I can add. So I could add my unit cost, for example, if I want to see it, or my unit price to get information. If we transpose that, say, to the posted sales transactions, I could easily get the sales per customer per region with the sum directly built in Business Central. And once I've done that by asking Copilot to create this little query, well, I can just save it and go back to it anytime I need. Filters are available, so I could change dates or anything else to be able to do my quick reporting. I can also toggle views. Now I'm just going to revert back though. I'm going to leave analysis mode. I'm going to go back to my list because I want to show another change. It's a small one. You can resize columns and have that stick without having to go to personalize or design mode. And it is device dependent. So if you work on a computer and you resize your columns, not only will it remember them, but it will remember that it's for that device. Because if you make other changes on another device you use, say your tablet, it will also stick. So we're getting closer for those who use nav in the past, the adjusting of the columns. So what we're hoping next is that we might be able to move them without having to go to personalize, but that's not here yet. But the resize works great, and the performance is also very much improved on lists. So you see how fast it will go and highlight things as I move. So there were performance improvements on navigation lists. Okay, so moving on from reporting and interface changes, a big change to projects that we were all waiting for since the days of Navision, which could be called the olden days at this point. You can now purchase for jobs. So the way it goes now in the current version is that you create a PO, you assign a job task and a job line type, and then nothing happens on the job side until you post an actual purchase invoice related to that PO. With the change, we get a new function. So when you create planning lines and tell the system that you're going to use items for this project, you can then use the related action to create purchase orders. It will look at dates, it will look at available quantities, it will not make you purchase something that is already available. So when you click on it, it creates a plan and it looks at what's missing. So I had 4 items on the other page. We only need to order those. There's a little field here. You can also use the reservations if you want to create a firm link between your job and your purchase order that will be created. When I click on OK, it creates the POs for those items and puts them on the PO list to be processed. So you can now effectively create purchases for your jobs as you would do. It works similar to when you make to order and can create a production order directly from the sales order. And from your planning lines, you can navigate to the related POs so you can see that information and any tracking information that would be related. You're also going to notice additional fields here. Item availability was added, so to the planning lines, to the job card, and to the job list. So it's much easier to navigate across inventory-related functions in jobs, projects, I should say, in projects. You can create inventory picks You can create warehouse picks. It works with advanced warehousing now. Those are all newer features that are available in the system to make it easier for you to manage the jobs and their status. All right, more fun with Copilot, because there's a lot of new things with Copilot. I'm going to go and create a sales order. So I can create a sales order from copying a document. Of course, if customer calls me and says, I want to place an order for the same thing I ordered the last time, I could just go find it and create a document from there. I can also, I'm going to use the Canon group. I think I want to use a Canon group. Yes, I do. All right, so I could copy a previous document. I could also select items and ask maybe the customer if they're on the phone, ask them. So just to be sure, what is it you ordered? So it was a bicycle, the rims and this and that. By the way, that's not a new feature, but some people don't know about it. And so I'm showing it. You can select more than one item, and then you just have to put in the quantities on the lines. So I could do that, but I can do one better with Copilot. See the Copilot icon here? I can suggest sales lines from e-file. So if a customer sends me, say, an order form I created to help Copilot and BC a little bit, well then Copilot could read that and suggest sales lines based off that. I can also suggest sales lines based off what the customer told me they want the same as they had on their previous order. Copy all items from previous order. Other features still in preview. So you really want a human person. See, it wants me to rephrase, and before it did work correctly. So I'm going to give it one more try. Copy all lines from previous order. There you go. Sometimes it needs a little tweak in the prompt. So that's why the feature is still in preview, because it has to work with all the phrasing anyone could use to mean kind of the same thing. But it does generate properly. So this is what this customer ordered the last time. And then you just click on insert. And it will insert the details on the order for you. So Copilot is turning into a neat assistant to work through transactions. You can generate ad-hoc queries like I've shown with the items for with Copilot. You can also do that on fixed assets, on service, on any other areas, and some are bona fide, so you can get even more information, say with the fixed assets ad hoc queries, because multiple tables are joined in those queries. So you're just not working from the fixed assets lists, you are working from the ledger entries and all related tables when you ask questions to Copilot to build your little report. You can insert sales lines, as we saw. You can use Copilot to assist you in building Power Automate flows, so workflows, bank reconciliations. So we did see that in the previous webinar, where Copilot will assist you in matching bank reconciliation entries. You can create item information like attributes, like variance, dimensions, also descriptions for marketing or for your website. It can generate that. It can suggest numbering series for the system. So it is spread across the solution and is there to assist you. It's like the new generation Clippy, but it's very useful. in Copilot's case. There are changes to the Shopify integration. You can now define shipping info for the shipping fees. You are no longer tied to only one GL account for shipping fees. You can define types and you can define related accounts to tag them to so that you can properly record that information in Business Central. You have a routine to send posted sales invoices for orders that were entered in Business Central to Shopify. Some people using Shopify don't have access to Business Central and still need access to all customer order history. This solves that problem, because the users will then see that orders were created in Business Central and processed in Business Central, but they see them under the Shopify account for the customer so that they have a full history and full details. You can reconcile payments from Shopify to invoices. There was a payout reconciliation, which was basically a bulk amount, and it was not tied to specific invoices with their specific payment method. That is now a thing from the past. You can set it up to reconcile against the specific invoices with the proper payment type, which makes it much easier to track transactions and then also reconcile the bank account transactions or temp accounts that you might be using. Locations are enabled for Shopify refunds. So that is one that we had to customize all the time, because the behavior was that when you do a return, it goes to one sole designated location. Since shop purchases typically are made in store and are typically returned to the same place they were purchased from, this design did not hold water. So there was a change made, and now the location that was on the original order or invoice is the location used by default on the return. Then, for people configuring Shopify, the meta fields that are essentially tags you assign to transactions, items, etc., they can be synchronized, and you can tie them to things like attributes in Business Central, which is very useful, so you don't have to manage things in both systems manually. There are changes to service management. Service management, not ODT service. We're talking about service management in Business Central, the one where you need the premium license and you work with service contracts. So you can now archive service management documents, and you can integrate service management to field service. Field service being Dynamics 365 Field Service, the other solution from the 365 family. This is very useful for organizations who need a sturdy field service solution that is quote unquote full-fledged to manage their work orders, their technicians, the scheduling, their routing, their statistics. So now there is a flow and a standard connector between the two solutions to avoid having to manually enter or import information about billing and contract details and customer account in Business Central. This now can flow seamlessly between the solutions. Finally, environment admin. You can now get in products. So inside Business Central, you can enable notifications either to specific people or to all when a job queue stops processing. So there was a solution to email. It's an app that we usually install. Now it can be enabled in the system. You can also notify using Power Automate, but of course this takes a little bit more configuration, but that's also available so that you can send email notifications if you do not have the little app that emails. So that's a nice improvement there. That way you can go to the job queue and restart it or look at the error much more easily and as soon as there is a problem. You can now see all apps in the admin center. So it used to be that you could only see apps from AppSource in the admin center and not the customizations or other apps that might be installed on your environment. That is now fully listed, and management functions are going to be made available. So maybe for releases and updates and installs, I say maybe because the documentation is not fully finalized and this will be a phased rollout. So we expect there will be additional improvements with the next versions. This makes it easier for admins to have all apps in the same place and manage them from there. In the admin center, you will also get the app compatibility warnings. So right now we rely solely on the email notifications to the email contacts that are set in the admin center. That's the only place you can see those warnings when you get the emails. They will now be displayed in the admin center, so it's easier to see them and then act upon them. Finally, there will be more flexibility for updates. There will be an extended period to apply major releases to leave for more time for testing and review, because sometimes that window was short. And we were, for those on update protection with my team, I was pressuring you to go and look at Sandbox and make sure everything was okay, because we had to roll out because Microsoft would push the updates. They're extending that period. There will also be an option to delay or skip minor updates. Minor updates are super important, but sometimes they're not at the best timing in your deployment, or you're in a busy season, so it's not a good time. So there will be options and settings to be able to manage that with more flexibility and make those optional. Then, of course, there's a caveat. So you might want to talk to your account manager about update protection or other methods that you can use to make sure everything rolls out properly, because the grace period after the update to address compatibility issues or to push the updates, that grace period will be smaller. So that means you will have to schedule your updates properly and make sure they're run. Because you won't be able to postpone as much as you were able to right now. And that's really important because the update will eventually still be pushed. That does not change. So those are the main changes in features that affect key users and or are important for you. There are more. I invite you to look at the release notes. If you do have questions, you can email. You can also put the questions in the little chat there, and I will make sure that we get back to you and address those. Or you can get in touch through hi@opendoor. That's the general contact address. If you do need support, go to support@, so the help desk assists. But if you do have general questions, you're welcome to email this address here to get in touch with us. Thank you.